I pray in Russian, but I say all the right stuff, so say amen. We're good.
God heard that.
So this is Pastor Ron and his wife Rhonda. They're from Hillyard Baptist Church. Been there since I don't know how long. They're youth. They're our guests today, and let's see how we did the week. Basically, we did talk about finances last time, so we kind of go a little. Remember what we talked about, and then it will be. Okay, I lost that word. Testimony. Thank you. I was like, I just said that 10 minutes ago. So on the money side, I forgot last time. Did I ask? Did you already decide who is doing that bookkeeping stuff in your family? Yeah? No? Okay. So, because I don't think it's here. It's actually here in the homepage, in the homework on the page. So, and your waiting budget, whoever is closest, I know yours is going because I already asked.
Yeah. It's just a spreadsheet where like receipts and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So, but my point is, budget means, okay, we probably will be spending this much or less, so we won't be in debt for a wedding. Don't buy a bed for $20,000. That's it. Literally, people did, and then they got divorced pretty soon, and that bed was. I don't know, probably, but I don't know. That's the example I always throw in because it hit me. I was like, $20,000 for a bed, and then I don't know. Just don't do stupid stuff on that, basically. You plan, this is just one day. It's an important day of your life, super important. So be prepared mentally, physically, have a good rest before that. Don't just waste that day. Waste all the money you used for that day. But don't spend too much on that day just so you're in debt. More like bring it to the family. Okay? So basically on a budget for a wedding, that was the thing. Anything else we want to remember from, or you want to talk about the financial stuff? Because we kind of covered little different things here and there, but maybe we missed something. Okay. Like I mentioned, we have enough people in the church, if needed, advising on anything, starting from insurances, home purchasing, budgeting, anything. So we have enough resources if needed. All over the internet, of course, but if needed, in person, and it's free. So just remember that. If you would remember before financial, we had a block in our lectures that kind of started with parents and the stuff and everything that we bring from our life in our homes to our new family, our baggage basically, and then our differences create who we are, two of us different, and then we talked about conflicts because from there conflicts can rise up, right? So how we correctly go through all the disappointments and irritations and stuff like this. And then if anything happens, how do we apologize and forgive each other? So this was kind of a block of relational stuff, okay? I intentionally set it in the middle. We start with love and marital structure, marriage, family structure and stuff. And then we go to this relational block. We're going through this. Then the finances goes. Today we talk about kind of a responsibilities, who's going to do what. It's not going to be a lecture. It's just like, we have it as a page like who will do this. It was a lecture before, and then I decided it doesn't have to be a whole lecture. It's just too simple, even simpler than finances. So, but we talked about money and who is going to do what in the family. And then we finished next, which we have 2 more lectures on the hedges, barriers, safety structure around the family, because there is enough enough dangers around us in the world where we're at. It is not in the book. The book about, the lecture about the safeguards and stuff, it's not in the book because it's more like for family already. But I really decided that it needed to be there. And then we finish with the intimate lecture. So basically we have today, next time, and one more. And then the test and the graduation and everything. So we should be done at the end of the March.
There's a test.
Oh yeah, there is a test.
Ever wonder why it's called college?
Only one. Final exam. No, throughout this 12 or how many years, I didn't have one person who didn't pass it. So you feel free. This is the one I'm actually checking if you're right or not, because there's some multiple answers and some things you're right. This is more for you to remember what we went through. Those who pray together, what's the rest? Stay together. That's there for sure, because I want you to remember that, like in the middle of the night, for sure. That's the kind of it's more almost kind of a motto for us. So it's more like, I want to see, when you write that, I want to see, did the message went through, basically, in your heads. That's it. Like I said in the beginning, half of it is all the head knowledge. And the other half is you got to be able to communicate and talk and talk and talk. If you're able to talk at the end of all these studies and lectures, we're good. We're there. If you weren't really able, and then now we kind of can talk over different stuff, different subjects and whatever topics, then we're good. So this is basically the overview. So on who will do this, those of you who went through Symbis, I think you haven't yet, the test that I sent you, there is already a little kind of a simpler version of it, like who will do what. What I want you to do this week, there's not too much of a homework, is keep up on your essay that you're writing. So add some more to it, whatever you will get out of our meeting today, and just add whatever more you want to add, and complete the exercise. Who will do what in our family? This is, I think, in the book as well. But what I normally say, write as many things as you can. Previous years, I actually went and say, I'll give a present or gift card to someone who brings the biggest list. So I've seen 120 or something like that. It was big lists. And try not to double yourself, just wording it differently because I catch it. But do little stuff like who will cut the grass? That's the easy one. Who will hang the curtains or
Water the plant.
water the plants? Little stuff, smallest stuff you can imagine, put there basically and talk. It's kind of a fun thing for you to sit down. You can write 2 of them and then bring them together and create one, or you can sit down and say, what can we think of? And then just, we'll do this, this, and this, this. The easiest thing, of course, is to create those that says, oh, both of us will do that. So, well, yeah, sure, we'll wake up in the morning. That's not the...
Have breakfast.
Well, that too. But basically, the responsibilities, who will be responsible for what? It can be both of you. Like, if you like to go shopping together, way to go, please go. Spend time together. Why not? Some guys think it's kind of yuck. But it's actually, if you feel it, it's a good thing. It's not bad. Unless it's for something that's really boring, which, I don't know, maybe there's something like this in life to shop for. Anyways, think of responsibilities and bring a list next time. So I'll think, if I'll see that your lists are pretty big and good and stuff, maybe I'll bring something for you. We'll see. I don't know. Don't promise anything. Won't promise anything. Anything else you want to bring up or talk? Let's do this. We'll come for you guys. We'll come to you basically. It's your time now for your testimony. And then we'll have Q&A. You can ask whatever you'd like to ask and stuff. We'll have another 45 minutes at least If we need more, we have more. So, if you could basically tell us little, you said a little bit already, but not everybody was here. How did it happen that you actually get together, and what do you think of life, married life?
That's miserable. But you want to talk? They won't talk too much. But
Oh, brother. Okay. So, congratulations, everybody. Neat, you've made the choice. One of the biggest deals. I know maybe people say that to you, but really it is biggest deal. We have lived together longer than we've lived apart. And I mean, we've raised a family, we've seen a lot of ups and downs, we've gone through losses and, good things together. And so you're making a neat decision. It's like a journey you're starting. Communication, I mean, it can't be overrated. It's like you're a team. If you're going shopping to control someone, don't go shopping to control them. Go shopping like a team. Figure it out. And he's so right. We build our own bed. We're not going to spend $20,000 on a bed. Don't spend $20,000 on a wedding either. Think about it. One day, and then you're living 50 years together. There's a lot of good things to buy besides just that, that wedding. Bring your friends together and do it up big, but just don't spend that much on it. Be creative. Have fun with it. One of the biggest things, I think, with marriage is your kids, but probably the biggest thing is congratulations, you're here, you're starting in the right place. Worshiping God, deciding to follow God's way. Number one choice. If you can't pray together, pray apart. Always pray whenever there's a big problem. Better to pray than, to think maybe the other person can answer or do what's needed. Sometimes it's just better to pray about it and work on it that way than, bugging each other. Both of us were very young when we accepted Christ, and our families have been Christian, and we've always just made some real principles. I mean, you go to church on Sunday. You think, well, that's not a big deal, especially if you always go to church on Sunday. But it is a big deal in our American culture. It's a choice, especially now. It's like, they're talking even more things that can be done on Sunday. But, it's, and I don't mean that Sunday is the only day that you can worship, but if you've set it aside, keep that way. It seems strange, but God talks about giving. Don't ignore it. Giving is a real big part of life's blessing. So, there's some real principles to take a hold of here. And definitely that praying together makes a difference.
that's it?
I don't know.
My turn?
Your turn.
She touched on consistency a little bit, and probably one of the most important things in raising kids and staying together as a couple is to be consistent. Just really simply consistent, not or extravagantly consistent. Don't make habits of doing extravagant things necessarily. Just be consistent and enjoy what God gives you to do, where He gives it you to do it. Enjoy that. Don't we can all have goals and ambitions, and of course as a couple you want to plan those together and have those goals and those dreams, but at the same time there's a lot to be said for being happy where you're at. Sometimes people just spend their whole life running after something that they could never attain. I mean, unless they won some kind of lottery, which is the worst way to get money or anything else. No, just be happy with what God gives you, and He'll bless you in so many ways. And the couple and your communication together is one of the ways He blesses us, that we can face things together. And like Rhonda mentioned, we've been through some reasonably tough times, and Some of them have been brought on by ourselves, and some of them haven't been. But nevertheless, there's still tough times. But together we've been able to work through them. We have another thing that we've always done is we've kind of divided the workload, and it's kind of interesting how you've mentioned a few of those things. That who's going to take care of the money and who's going to do this and that. It's important to do some division, and if the division is done, to leave that person to do that job and not be always looking over their shoulder or correcting them because they're not doing it the way you would do it or whatever. Rhonda basically takes care of our finances. She always has. That's the only reason we have any finances. Because if I was taking care of them, I'd have probably either given them away or whatever. It's not important to me, but it is to her, and she does a great job. And I've, over the years, just let her do that. She does a beautiful job at it and takes care of that. So I can work. I love to work, and I can make money and bring it in, but that's only the first part of it. You got to put it in the right places and take care of it, and she's been good at doing that. So then kids come, and the kids are a real big expense, as everybody knows, but they can be a tremendous blessing. And but grandkids are better than kids. I can. You've heard people say that, but I can attest that. That is true. Grandkids are better than kids, and we really enjoy having our grandkids around with us too. So those are all blessings. God blesses us in so many ways. And until you've been there and done that, it's hard to say it, but it'll go quick. It'll be the biggest thing you probably could say is all of a sudden you'll look back and say, "Wow, Or like my kids are always getting after me when I'll say, well, the way we used to do that, and they'll say, when did you used to do that? And I'll say, well, back in the 90s or 80s. That was 30 years ago, Dad. Things have changed. Yeah, so anyway, that's what it is.
We've also had the blessing of a business where we've trained our kids to handle the finances too. So, it's important to teach your kids important things. They're not just cute little children. They really are God's gift, and then you'll watch them grow, and they'll have gifts of their own. And we have, kids that now manage the business, which is fun to see them do that well. And one of our kids is a very hard worker, so he works with Ron. Ron likes to work. Two of the kids like to manage, so.
How many kids do you have?
We have three.
Three.
Yes,
Mhm.
2 boys and a girl.
And a girl. Mhm.
Mhm.
So on the time question, how you can manage money, how you manage time wisely. Anything you can say about that? Because you have work, you have church, you have family, you have yourself, you have kids. Anything you can say about that, especially being a pastor?
Oh, you have to be flexible, of course, and sometimes scheduling set up, but really, we found that it works the best to be fluent. She understands that sometimes things come up that I can't be there. There's things that come up with her that she can't be there, and so we just spend as much time our evenings at home. We try to stay away from getting involved in too many things that are extracurricular that cost time because of the things we're involved in. So evenings at home are just evenings at home, and we enjoy those as much as we would doing anything else. And when we were younger, we used to do more things and get out more, but we didn't have the responsibilities that we have. But just being together and whatever we do. One of the things I've always tried to teach the kids, and we've done with our family, is that you can really enjoy your company with each other, even if you're working. That just because you're out in the yard working, or you're working at whatever you have to do, it doesn't. You don't have to be on a boat in the middle of the lake doing nothing to enjoy life and enjoy the company. You can be actually producing something and getting something done, and so we've always enjoyed doing things together. So it makes it But
Mhm.
that's one of the things. It's sometimes you think, fun, I've got to have fun, I've got to go on a vacation, or I've got to do this or got to do that. Well, no, there's lots of fun, and you're doing yard work or fixing something in the house or doing a floor, putting floors down.
Well, it's neat here because you have the church, and obviously it's your church family, by the way.
Yeah.
So treat them well. They are your family, and it's neat. There's a lot of resource here for you to support you and encourage you, and appreciate that. It's an awesome thing. And we have that. We have our church families, and you know, it's important to spend time together. We do work together. We have like a work day on Saturday once a month, and we get together and we do the projects that need to be done together. And it's fun to see accomplishment like that together.
Mhm. That is an interesting thing. That's cool. On Saturday. And if some of you haven't heard, Rhonda grew up in this church,
Oh, really?
in our church. So she knows the
Interesting.
building and
That's cool.
Not much grass around here to cut. We have a little more over at Hillyard.
That's really interesting. So the last congregation.
It was interesting because it seemed like it almost had catacombs back there.
Mm-hmm.
Since you don't baptize here, you may not have been back there, but and then we were hooked to the steam plant, so there was a lot of the two steam things that are down there.
yeah.
We were hooked, and so there was a great big boiler downstairs, so it was kind of a scary place down there.
It's
but
still
it was
there.
It's still there.
it's fun to kind of discover stuff around here.
It's not hooked to the plant.
Steam plant anymore. No, we had to get a boiler somewhere along the line, I think.
We actually, when we just got the church, for years we used that thing as a boiler. That old machine was
Use it for
used.
its purpose,
The
yeah.
furnace was actually that old furnace. We actually used it, and then we finally say, you know what?
Better
It's-
get something different.
It's old enough to
Yeah.
be dangerous, so we got something else. But yeah, all the catacombs are all around there. We
Still
know.
down there, huh?
Still down there underneath, and we have a kitchen and stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anything?
And Ron and I were both really active in working with kids. So we met or started dating after working at a camp together as counselors.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a fun memory.
So basically, yeah, there you go.
Any different?
Uh,
Same story.
Most of us here, I think, kind of.
Have you been in camps?
It's usually camps.
Two
camps,
Where we
youth.
interact a lot.
Mini
and stuff.
camps.
Yeah.
No
We,
more.
we spent a lot of time, our family would spend a lot of time after we were married, bringing the food together for some of the camps, so that was fun. Like we'd have 300 kids for a week or something, that was like, so it was a big process.
Anything you would advise on? You've been through a lot of years together, and I'm sure your conflict resolutions or management increased or
Improved.
improved in how you
Oh,
manage
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh,
I bet. So-
oh, yes. Sir.
Yes,
So
because
much
we
better.
laugh because we know we argue about certain things.
So there's so much better well until you have that argument or
But
something doesn't work.
any advice you would give to the couple who are gonna be married in a month or 2 or 3 or 4?
Well, my advice is
The mo-
always just solve it. Just solve it, whatever it takes. Don't go to bed angry. Just don't just don't let the sun go down in your wrath, as the scriptures say. It's hard sometimes to say, I'm really sorry, I really did something wrong. I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that. It can be very difficult, and it can be difficult for the other one to say, okay, I forgive you for the 15th time or whatever. But the only way to do it is just talk it out, deal with it, and move on, and just be ready to make changes, whatever it takes. And it doesn't get any easier. Frankly, it does not get any easier. It's always tough. But you've got to do it. It's one of those things that's part of that communication, relationship building, trust building in each other, that that, when I say something I shouldn't say or do something I shouldn't do, she knows over the years that that's not who I am. And because I did it, and I'm willing to say I was wrong that I did it, then she's willing to say, okay. But if I hadn't built that relationship, if she didn't have that trust in me, then that's when relationships fall apart and say, you've never shown me before that you did anything right, so why would you start now? And so, no, but just talk it out. Oh my goodness. Just work it out, whatever it takes to work it out. And flowers don't necessarily help. Candy, that might do it.
Commitment, always just don't lose your respect and stay committed, no matter what. Just keep working on it.
What was the least expecting thing that you guys did not realize came with marriage?
One of the things, we started really young. I mean, we were both early 20s, so you kind of grow up together, and I think you learn things together. I don't know what we didn't expect. It was like we always did things the hard way. We started by working with kids. We got into a Pentecostal group, and a group of people, and they took care of kids.
And kids.
I
Kids
think
that had been through the court system.
for the two of us to work together, they were going to give us $300 a month, and then we found out after a couple months when they didn't pay us that you have to ask for the money. Almost beg for the money. That was a little bit. I mean, it's interesting when you have no money. I can just tell you, don't spend what you don't have. Best advice.
I don't know what I think.
His idea of we have very, very different ideas on money. His idea is if you need money, you make more. I always say you better not spend more than you've got. You better, hang on to it. So, says no.
Somewhere in the middle we've met.
Somehow we made it work.
Yeah.
Very different philosophy.
I suppose if I thought of something, I would have thought that it wouldn't have been as tough as it is to get along. I would think that, you just mesh. And my folks, they had their arguments and stuff, but they had been married for years, and they seemed to work it out, but they always kept it from us, I think, more, the arguments, so you didn't really know how things really were. And it was a period of time when the man pretty much ruled the roost, and if he said something, then the wife would say, yes, dear, and go move on west. And somehow that didn't work with us.
So you're still here, you move in the West.
Yeah, I haven't been able to move west. No, but then when you analyze relationships, they are difficult, and no two are alike. The only thing alike is that we are all humans and we make mistakes, and we have to be ready to forgive each other and do things. And I think I probably thought that I'm pretty romantic in my mind and didn't think that would be that hard. So that's pretty hard.
Is it still worth all what you got right now, what you built? Is it worth all the effort?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was always worth it, all the way through, and even in the hardest times. It was always worth it to have, somebody there that worked things through with you, and that you could go home to, and, that's, no matter what kind of day you had, it was always at your home. And we protected that. We've tried to keep, even in having a business that's run basically out of our home, we tried to keep that away from our relationship. It wasn't always about those kind of things. So, yeah.
And don't forget, God blesses marriage and family. He's very much behind it. And so it's very much worth it, definitely, but it's not necessarily easy. And it's just, that relationship with Jesus Christ is really the good basis of your marriage.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned that we live in a world that changes all the time, not for the good around us. and foundation for marriage, for relationship, for trust, for loyalty is kind of washing away. What would you say that we should have or do or build around us to basically help us protect the families?
Well, I think your faith, as she mentioned, your faith, and going back again to that consistency, I think if you follow the scriptures and your faith is being built, and you have a consistent relationship with other people outside that are of like mind, that's what the church is all about. That helps us build that foundation and maintain that stalwartness, and that gives us those hedges you were talking about too, because protection comes from those around us. When we are going through tough times and we have doubts or whatever, we have people that can encourage and come alongside. And the family is really important in that area, but the extended church family is very important in that area too. So choose your friends wisely, and be willing to listen to them, and bare your soul when you need to those people that you can trust. And besides yourself, your couple, as you grow together, you need to be able to have those others around you too. Yeah, and don't listen to a lot of radio and TV too. That helps too. Stay away from some of that nonsense, because they're always telling you what they think is going to happen or whatever. Just stay close to the Lord.
Well, and we always said our home was safe. The kids are safe there. You can come in there. You're not going to be ridiculed. Your ideas count. You're important. You're respected. And the church, don't discount that training your kids in, the ways of the Lord. The church can help you. Come into worship together. They're taught. Hopefully you have ministries you're doing, and you're building up in the body and encouraging. You have a culture that's different than the world's. The world's always looking for something more. They're not satisfied. They're always hungry for something. And I think that just focus on faith and trust is going to bring blessing into your life, even through the hardest things.
But the faith family is a great support and help. Yes. So, and this is what I remember today. I haven't mentioned that for you. I told some of you. Right now, think of a family in a church. 3, 4, 5 probably years of being married. A strong couple that you can see your friends, maybe one of your relatives, somebody that you can come to and say, can we meet once a month? And have a coffee once a month, or bring them to your house, or let them bring you to their house. Basically for one evening, for an hour or hour and a half, just to know each other, talk, have a tea, have coffee, whatever. Just for a fellowship. At least once a month, maybe twice a month, for a couple of years when you're married, for 2 years. Okay? We have that going in the family, in the church. That little older couple, 5 years in the marriage, it's not much older, but a little older, maybe your age, but already married, and they're pretty strong. You know them, you respect them as a family. You can see their relationship are good. Like I said, it can be your friends, whether your relatives, somebody. If you need help, tell me, and I'll get to that family and tell them. Most of the families you see in church, not most, but some, a lot of them, already understand this because they have a couple, or they had a couple, or they were a couple like this. Okay? So you might not know that, but so they understand the idea basically. So if that will go over a year or 2, and sometimes 3, you will become this kind of couple for newlyweds in 3 years or 4 years, because you will be building your family and you will be helping somebody else. This helps that couple for sure, because they now have somebody they pray for in a church. They have you, and now they pray for you all the time because you are their couple. Okay, and you can pray for them. For them, it's a great build spiritually and relationally between them and stuff, because they now have somebody to pray for, to care about. It doesn't have to be super spiritual. It doesn't have to be curriculum based or anything. No, it's just come to have a fellowship for a coffee, at least for a coffee. So that way, in a year or 8 months or 7 months, you can ask them a question. They'll tell you how they got married and what their struggle were first year or second year, what are they going through now. They can share some experience, and it's great. So that way you will be married and you kind of out of youth, not into adult families yet. So you kind of by yourself as soon as you get married. This way you'll be tied to someone, and that way it's kind of the net we have is true. And I see a blessing. I see a great blessing in that. So keep that in mind. Think of a couple in the family, a couple in the church family, that can be that for you. Okay, and keep that in mind. You will be one of those. Most likely, as far as I see you, you'll be one of those. Just a little later on the road. Okay, this greatly helps. And don't be shy. Tell me if you kind of think that couple, but we don't know much. We'd like to be there and stuff. I still remember we just moved. We got married and moved immediately from overseas. Got in the church, got in this ministry and everything, just started going. So we're still young, 1, 2, 3 years in the marriage, and we kind of looked in the bigger, not bigger, older couples, that would be great to just have a fellowship there and here. But we kind of, we're both shy, very shy. You can tell, right? So we kind of never did that. It would be lovely. So if you think of a couple who can get you, that would be great. Artamenko Sasha, you know him, and Anya? Yeah? You know them, Sasha preaches sometimes. Kislyak, Anya?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they were our couple. We're still getting together regularly after 8 years. 8 years of they're 8 years old. 8 or 9. Anyways, long ago. I thought it was 3. My wife says, no, they're 8. I was like, whoa. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they have a kid, 6, 7-year-old. Anyways, so we're still getting together because they had one couple, and then the other couple, I'm not sure they have a couple right now. So what I'm saying is it's still going. It's great. So
Celebrated 8 years yesterday.
what?
8 years yesterday.
They celebrated 8?
Marriage. Alex.
Oh yeah, wait. That's how I know. I was like, it's recent. And Nazarena just told
He
me.
works
That's
for
right.
me, so I get to talk to him every day.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you
Nice.
go.
Good couple.
Yes. So keep that in mind. Faith community can really be there, helpful. So anything else you want to ask?
Kids, what priority do they take in your relationship and your marriage? How did they impact your relationship, and how did you guys adapt to them?
They pretty much took anything they wanted.
Yeah.
It's kids. No, we had to have time. We made time, and they made things a little hectic at times, but kids, just having a child together that you see and they grow and you're growing together with them, and you're raising them and teaching them and working with them. It's quite an experience together when you can do it together and not be dumped. One having the responsibility of raising the kids, the other one whatever. But no, we did a lot of it together, and being around as much as we can. But they're a big responsibility. Children are definitely a responsibility, and it was driven home to me this last weekend because I had a memorial for a lady in the church that was one of the elder leaders that had died, and her sons came back, and I hadn't seen off and on. The sons were just younger than me, and one of them I had actually had in a class when I taught junior high kids. When I was in college, he was in that class, and they're both grown, of course, now, and their kids are grown, and the kids are all walking with the Lord. It was really interesting to see them because they've lived down in Boise. They were ways away. But we were reminiscing about some of the other kids that were in that same class at that age when they were junior high kids, and even one of them was the son of one of the pastors that we had, and they're not walking with the Lord. They're not having anything to do with spiritual things at all, several of them. And this fellow commented, he says, you know, how the Father does has to do with how the Son does, because the sons take after the fathers. And it really was interesting. Fathers sometimes think they can be absentee and, you know, well, I bring home the money, so the wife can do everything at home. She can take care of the kids. I bring home the money, I supply that, or whatever. And it doesn't work that way. You have to be involved. You got to be, both of you. You have to be on the same page about discipline. Sometimes you won't agree with how to discipline the children, but you've got to figure that out, and you've got to stay on that same page, and you can't be, you know, contradicting each other. You just can't make it a battle for children's minds.
They take a lot of time, and you don't know what you're getting into till you're there. I can still remember my daughter-in-law saying that they were going to have 12.
Oh, wow.
So far, they've got to 2, and I don't see 12, but kids are a lot of work, and it's okay. I mean, it's what your marriage is about. It's in a lot of ways. You're raising kids, but I can remember a friend asking me what was the scariest thing, because your little ones that really rely on you, you're always concerned about them. She said, what is the scariest thing you just don't want to happen? And I said, well, I just don't want the kids to walk away from the Lord. And I thought, you know, lots of things can happen. You're not ready for necessarily anything of what's, you know, will happen, good or bad. But it's important that the kids know that they can trust God, and that's a decision that they can make, and that'll be the best decision they make. And I just really encourage you to make sure you're training up the kids to know the Bible and who God is and what Jesus is all about.
Anything else?
I'm sure I've got questions in there. Just
Wait 50 years and you'll have answers.
Yes. We don't have a lot of answers. We just have a lot of experience.
But dumb looks are free.
what were you guys, I would say, what were some of your largest hurdles or things you had to overcome early on in your marriage or adapt to quickly?
Money's always was really tight the way we did things. And we didn't,
She found out that I owed $2,000 to school bills.
I think it was only 200, but I was pretty freaked out about it.
For college, because I'd gotten this loan grant thing they had back in the 60s, 70s when I was going to college, and as long as you kept going to school, you didn't have to pay it back. It was one of those genius government things they did. They would give you $500 or something, and half of it was a grant and half of it was a loan, and the loan you had to pay back once you finished school. But as long as you kept going to school, so I went to seminary. I kept going to seminary, and as I was working and going to school and things, I got slower at school and less hours at seminary. All of a sudden, they decided I need to pay that money back, and that came up, and I probably hadn't told her about that money. That was a tough time. We somehow lived through it, though. Look back now and I think, that really wasn't a big deal at all.
It was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, at the time, it was to her money. I thought, what are they going to do? Going to take my education away from me?
Oh, that's right.
Government. No.
I don't think our kids have had it as hard as we did things. We just started things from the bottom and we just built. So money was always really hard when we started. But, you know, you may not have that if you both have jobs. We weren't like that. We had, he was in school, I'd just gotten out of school, and as I mentioned, we were working with the kids, and it was a really, it really was like a ministry, and we weren't making a lot of money, so it wasn't like we had a lot to manage or a lot to handle, but you always have expenses, no matter what, so. And I think one of the things that we started with was back in the 70s, and we had the deal where he was going, actually we were both going to school in Portland, and we were living across in Vancouver in a lot less expensive situation, but trying to get back and forth, you had to get gas, and they would limit the amount of gas you could get. So you have to wait in lines, these long lines, and then get a little teeny bit of gas and try to make it go across to Portland all the time.
Tesla would be nice.
Tesla. I don't think they have those.
They had no Teslas, yes, that's right. No electricals. But I'm sure all this hard things built your character and
Oh, yeah.
being
You
together.
don't, you don't learn from everything being easy. You gotta have the hard times. If you didn't have the hard times, we'd never, nothing, it would be all good, so what?
Take it for granted at that
Oh,
point.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
No, God teaches us so much through tough times. Always look
And our
for it.
mistakes.
It's there, yep.
We teach kids at home, and they freak out. They don't like making mistakes. Oh, I made a mistake again. I was like, unless you're making mistakes, you won't learn anything. If you'll just start it and no mistakes at all, you didn't learn anything. You just did everything you already knew. As soon as you make a mistake, you know, okay, this is I don't know. Then I have to learn that. And then you make another one and learn that, and then another one and you learn that. So you have that mindset. We're gonna make mistakes. It won't be easy, but it all worth it. Months or 12 months or 24 months into the marriage, it's definitely worth it. Being there and going through this good, hard, and easy, and then coming to 1 year, coming to 2 years, definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. So relationship, if we have right values, we go in to the right direction, reaching the right goals, then it's worth it.
Absolutely, yep.
I'm sure what you reach, I mean, you still have time in front of you. We all have time in front of us. Lord is willing, we'll be here in Spokane doing what we're doing. But whatever you reach now, I'm sure, looking back, you're saying it was worth it. Pretty sure.
It was a journey, yeah.
It was a great thing. So we wish that for you guys.
Thank you.
It won't be me asking you 48 years after the day, but you'll have people you can teach something, tell something, and testify and say, 50 years ago somebody told us, and now we're telling you. We'll see. I mean,
Yeah, the important thing is to get somebody to listen to you.
so we'll see. Yeah, definitely. So, anything else? Because we're coming to the time to wrapping up, and unless you want to ask something else or talk about something else, we can do that. And if not, we'll finish over here. We really appreciate your time.
Oh,
Well, it's
thank
fun.
you.
It would be great
It's nice
having
you
that
even
every
asked
year,
us.
so we'll see how that goes next year, but this is nice.
Well, you got it on tape now. You just hold the tape.
No, it's going to be 49 years next year,
Oh, that's
right?
That's right, one more year,
Well,
Ruddle.
one more year of experience.
We want to see you on your 50th.
Yeah.
birthday.
Well, a couple of years ago, I thought about it. When you told me 48 or 46, I was like, year 2023.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
I have to have it.
2023.
And we're going to make it like big. So, so
you
let's
believe?
hope for that. Let's hope for
Yeah.
that. So, Lord willing, He knows how long we still have here and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So, thank you once again. May
Thank
Lord
you.
bless your
Our
work
pleasure.
there.
It's very
Oh,
nice.
he does.
And okay, so I guess let's finish the end. Would you pray at the end?